Hey, it's your boy, Sergeant Hook Dimensions. We are, of course, talking about today Kamen Rider Revice. Episode 43 now? Is that right? 43 already? My goodness. 7 episodes left. Woo! Um, Honestly, I really enjoyed this week's episode. Not nearly as much as last week, but I mean, come on. Daddy Igarashi transforming into Deathstream, fighting Veil. Pretty badass episode. um, So this episode was also pretty good. It was leading off last week, of course, um, and everything going on with Daiji, kind of questioning things and whatever. Akaishi is not gone yet. Gifu gives him one last chance to fight or whatever to screw up humanity, because now Gifu has given up on wanting humanity to be subservient to him. He just wants to annihilate it now, basically. Which is odd because we only get that from what Akaishi says. So I don't know. I don't mind force of nature villains in Rider. It doesn't bother me that much. But, we all, now that Akaishi's gone, there's literally no human personality, anything to attach to be a threat anymore other than Gift being powerful. Which we do get to see in this episode. We get to see Revi and Vice, even in their Giffard Rex form, trying to fight him and kind of getting their asses kicked a little bit. This episode also gives a lot of focus to Hikaru. Finally, we get some more on him that he's been training in between the last few episodes or whatever, trying to be able to make his body stronger to handle more genomics with the over demons, the demons driver using over demons and blah blah blah. Which again is cool, and I like this paired with the other part, right before he became over demons, showing him training and wanting to be a rider and all that. But again, they waited way too long to have that be a thing, Again, I think one of Revice's bigger issues, which again doesn't make me hate the show, it's just kind of an odd thing, is they have this issue with pacing and when is the right time to introduce certain concepts and stuff. If we would have right from the get-go got the idea from Hikaru that he wants to be a hero, he wants to fight, maybe have a little arc where he's jealous of Sakura being out there fighting, not that he doesn't think she can, but because he wants to be out there too, and that would then lead into and give more credence to him becoming over demons. Yes, I still want it to be Hiromi, but it at least would give a bit more to him as a character, and we get more of him before all of a sudden he's a rider, So I like this, but it's almost a little too late, So Danny Igarashi is recovering after last week's fight. Clearly, Bill kind of kicked his ass as well. So that's why he's not in the episode. They kind of write him out a little bit. Somebody wondered online if maybe Daddy Igarashi is the actor, maybe is his contract's a little odd, or maybe he's just really busy because he's a lot of times gets written out of the show, which is fine. It makes sense for the story, but it's also that's convenient. So that's the main part of it, is Hikaru trying to overcome his physical limits and everything. Daiji has a big part of it as well, where they're trying to talk to him. Hiromi even talks to him and says, did Genta's words get through to you? And he tries to act as though they didn't. And that, well, my father lost his, or, I lost my demon, so his words mean nothing to me, and blah, 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 blah. And it's okay, Daiji, don't be a douchebag. So anyway, we also get this part in the middle, which I thought was interesting, but again, another thing to kind of drop out of nowhere, honestly, and that I don't understand. So it looked as though Masumi was dead last episode. Apparently he's not. He's severely weakened and dying now. And just resting, just taking a nap. So he divulges to everybody, including George, that he apologizes, basically. Says that a lot of these things right now, which I kind of like this from Masumi, that a lot of what they're dealing with right now is due to what he did helping out Noah originally, and then clearly, that became stuff that became connected to Phoenix, and that he kind of feels responsible for it in a way. And I like this because, again, it's another Ichigo kind of correlation, if you will, or kind of reflection, if you will, because and kind of even with the Kamen Rider Century situation, where there was spoilers if we haven't watched Beyond Generations, but one of the main characters, that's one of the two members that create Century, helped create Ichigo, transform into Century. Sorry, was one of the scientists that helped create Ichigo. and he feels remorse for it and goes through a whole arc with that, blah blah blah. Same thing we're getting through here. Masumi is saying the same thing, that he feels quite remorseful, that a lot of this is his fault, is what he feels like. And he mentions, and this is again completely, it's out of nowhere, but it kind of makes sense a little bit. He mentions that he actually, when George was young, extracted his own inner demon into a Vice stamp and put it into George. So I wonder if that means, does that mean that George has always had two demons in him? You know, I don't understand that part of it. It would explain, because he says that it would have had an effect on his personality as well. So it would explain George at the beginning of the show, kind of like, here, take the two-side driver. Who knows what'll happen? Oh yeah, Hiromi, take the demon's driver. Who knows what'll happen? You know, and like not feeling remorse and all of a sudden feeling remorse. Again, I guess I'm just kind of confused, because I thought the show made it pretty clear that everybody has an inner demon, right? And Hiromi clearly lost his first episode of the whole show, but like for the most part, everybody has their own inner demon. And so does that mean that George has two in him, or does that mean that was he somehow like born without a demon, so Masumi gave it to him? Like, I don't know why he did that. It didn't make any sense unless it was just another experiment thing to see what would happen, type of thing. But anyway, he mentions that it would have had an effect on his personality and blah, blah, blah. And he tries to make George feel better, saying that, it would not have done anything with your ingenuity. Your genius is your genius. It has nothing to do with your inner demons, blah, 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 blah. And George is pissed because he had no idea that that's what his dad did, and he leaves and whatever. And, again, I guess, I don't know if we needed this to explain George being a dickhead at the beginning of the show. I don't know, he could have just been too full of himself and then realized, oh shit, I'm hurting people, and realized that was wrong and then reformed, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't think we need to just hand wave it away like, oh no, it's because he has his dad's inner demon in him. Like, I don't know. It was okay, but I want a bit more on that to, like, make more sense and make more of an impact, if you understand what I'm saying. I guess that makes sense. But anyway, so we also get a scene with Ikki and Akemi, is that her name? Yeah, the mom. In Vice, where Vice mentions that at this table is where we had such and such type of food and blah blah blah. We celebrated this event. He's like, "What do you mean? I don't know what that is." And Akemi, Akemi, is that Akemi, or whatever the Mama Igarashi is, right? So I think Akemi is actually the one lady that died, that Daiji's all upset about. Anyway, so he mentions that he didn't remember that, and so we keep bringing up again this whole thing of like, the more that they use this power and they use the contract with Vice, the more it's trying to pull away his memories. And he still is sticking strong to, I know that it's going to be pulling away my memories and everything, but you guys will still remember me, and I want to keep fighting as long as I can, which I appreciate, and I think is very admirable of Ikki, that above all else, he wants to keep his family and the world safe. Even if that means sacrificing something of his own, sacrificing some part of who he is, he wants to do that to help others. I don't know what it's going to mean for the end game, if there's going to be something that's going to, like, break their contract and he'll redo the contract and then it won't work that way, or if it has to always work that way. Maybe each demon has only a certain way their contract works. I don't know. I just am hoping not to have, like, a Kamen Rider O situation where the friends are separated forever and blah, 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 blah. So, which doesn't make any sense. I guess probably not what happens, because the summer movie, Battle Familia, is supposed to be set after the events of the show. So I don't think that's what's happening. But anyway, so eventually Akashi comes through and he transforms. Gives him like a new, like, red version, like more mutated version of his, like, demon form. And he starts just like fucking up, is it Ararata, whatever it's called, the one place where they say it's safe with Phoenix. And he's, shooting fireballs and shit and destroying things. Everybody's like, and it's funny because right before he starts, there's his family and they're like, yeah, it's so safe. Or, wow, I never thought we'd find somewhere that's so safe. And then he just starts destroying things. But anyway, so in comes our, rider team, as it were. So Ikki and Vice, of course, Hana, Sakura, and Hikaru. I got to give it up to my boy, Zio Agato, doing his little bit about main character Hikaru and calling the show Kamen Rider Over Demons. Kind of does feel like what they are trying to do here and there, and it's kind of odd. But anyway, so they do their thing. They all transform and they fight. And Hikaru tells Ikki and Vice, hey, go ahead and you take on GIF. Keep him, try to fight, take on GIF. and I'll handle Akaishi, and then Hana and Sakura help him. So they go off to their battles. They actually like Icky and Vice is cool. They use some of the power of Giffard Rex, the polarity thing, to actually go up there and grab Giff out of his portal and pull him out. I thought that was kind of cool. It's kind of badass. He still kind of kicks their butt a little bit, which bothers me because their final form power is supposed to be partially based on Giff's power as well. So you'd think they'd have a little more of a chance against him. I don't know. So they're struggling. They're having their battle. Same time, Hikaru finally, he says, hey, can you, you two, meaning Kamen Rider Aguilera and Kamen Rider Jean, can you guys handle Akaishi for a little bit? I'm going to try to do, add on to my genomics. I'm going to do up to 4. And they said, okay. He's like, I'm going to need some time. So he does it. And of course, as he's doing it, we get a montage of him going through the different, trainings that he did to like handle it and everything. And so far, we've only seen up to 3 used at a time. My man uses 4. It was kind of a badass moment. I have to give it to him. It was kind of badass to see him use 4 and kind of kick Akaishi's ass. Honestly, until the very end thing, which we'll get to in a minute, it was pretty much Hikaru that defeated Akaishi. And I kind of like that. Mainly because I don't give a shit about Akaishi. And I give like maybe a decimal's worth more of a shit about Hikaru. So anyway, he powers up with the genomics thing, so he's got the scorpion tail, and he's got the bata legs, and the other 2 that he uses, I can't remember exactly, but all the different parts, all 4, at once, and beats the shit out of Akaishi. And Akaishi's like, how can I be defeated by a human? Also, interesting note, Akaishi sacrifices his immortality to get this power up that he has right now. It doesn't matter because he dies, but so anyway, he's on his, last leg. He just got hit with the final, the rider kick attack from Hikaru. And here comes Daiji, and they're like, what? Daiji? And they're all surprised, and they're like, what do you mean? And then Sakura looks like, Daiji, why are you here? And even Icky and Vice are like, huh? And he goes up to Akaishi, and Akaishi's like, oh, you're finally here. The heir to my, my legacy, and blah, blah, blah. And he's transformed. He's a fully and wholly alive. And, he says, you can't protect humanity. He's like, you can't protect humanity. He's like, what? He's like, the way you're doing it isn't the right way. Walks up to fucking Akaishi and straight, he stopped shooting, like, the whatever, attack confirmed or whatever that it says, the driver, and final attack point blank shoots him right through the chest, which was pretty dark, pretty brutal, but also really badass. Like, I really like that. I don't know what it is, but I like it in these shows, and especially in rider shows. Sometimes Sentai will do it too, where they do like a point blank attack, because usually it means one of the 2 of them is done. They ain't coming back. This one, it was Akaishi for sure. So I did like that. I think it was pretty well done here to have Daiji do that. So he destroys Akaishi. Akaishi's gone. Everybody on transforms, like, wow, what's going on? Gifu lands, and Daiji looks over at Gifu and goes, Gifu, I'd like to contract with you. And Ned, hey, get off the couch. Sorry, my dog's on the top of the couch like he's a cat. And next week's episode shows Daiji. I think there's a bit more of a Daiji Icky fight going on. Something about him, he's holding the Holy Life Stamp and saying, come on, help me, I know you're there. And then a flash really quick of what looks like what would have been what Holy Life would look like, but if Evil would have, like if Kagero would have won that fight, if the power, what the power would have looked like, I guess. We don't fully see it, just a bit of the color that there's black in it. So it looks presumably like Kagero is back. I don't know for sure. Maybe that he's just using Gifu to contract just to be able to get the power he needs to bring Kagero back. I don't know. But it does seem like he's playing the long game now, like the long con, if you will. Ned, off the top of the couch. Come on, Ned. Come here. Don't be naughty. You don't need to be on top of the couch. You're too heavy, man. You're too heavy. You're not a cat. This is my dog. This is Ned. This is my beagle. He is not smart, but we love him anyway. But anyway, so like I said, overall, pretty decent episode. Not as great as last week, and not really a step down, I would say. Just odd, the like character things they're just doing all of a sudden and expecting you to go, you know. I will say Hikaru's alright, but I mean, as far as you know, with the summer movie, he ain't in it. And the little character cards where they have like the human along with their rider form shows Tamaki, and under him, over demons. So I'm assuming that Hikaru is gonna like sacrifice himself or die somehow, and then Tamaki will just take over as over demons, which I'm fine with, totally. But yeah, so like I said, overall a decent episode. If I had to score it, I'd probably give it like, probably still a strong like 8.5-ish out of 10. Not my favorite episode, but decent enough to pull things along for the plot, to push things along for the plot, and finally move Daiji towards where his end game is going to be, hopefully getting Kagero back, finally, and moving him towards the end game stuff, which I want to note that a lot of people have said online, and I kind of agree with this, that when he lost Kagero, it's why it's happened. This whole thing is happening. That when he lost Kagero, yes, Kagero was evil and a jerk and messing things up and whatever, but he also was kind of like the block, so that it's almost like he has too much good in him right now, to where he's completely on the other side of the spectrum, where he's like, even if it means sacrificing people, we must go for the most righteous thing. Whereas when Kagero was there, it kept him more level headed. So I'm really excited to see Kagero come back, if that's what we're going to do, and how that dynamic's going to go. I always said this from the beginning of the series, and if they follow through, I'm going to lose my mind. It'd be so cool to see a fight scene with Daiji, where in it he's constantly swapping between evil and live by flipping the gun up and down. I think that'd be really cool. Or if there was some way that he was able to like separate himself out and fight alongside Kagero, would be even cooler, because they had that thing where they fought separately from each other in their one last fight. So anyway, like I said, 8.5 out of 10. Let me know, 8.5 out of 10. Sorry. Let me know in the comments below. What did you guys think of the episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you in the middle? What do you think about Daiji finally lifting that crown of L's, of losses, off his head? What did you guys think about the revelation about Masumi and George and the demon thing there? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys say about things. I love the comments here and there. Coming up, I will definitely be reviewing Don Brothers. And then for the rest of the week, not a lot of content, because starting tomorrow through Saturday, I'm going to be on vacation with my family. But definitely Don Brothers will be the review that I'll do next. And yeah, we'll go from there. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. But stay hooked on Henshin's. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. What was that?